When a man starts to pull away, you can feel it, even before he says a single word. The text messages become shorter, the calls less frequent, and the energy that once felt warm suddenly turns cold. You can sense him slipping away, and deep down you start asking yourself, what changed? Did I do something wrong? Did he lose interest? Or is he just testing me? The truth is, when a man begins to distance himself, he's not only reacting emotionally, he's observing. He's watching how you respond, and in that silence he's expecting two very specific reactions from you. One reaction confirms his doubts and pushes him even further away. The other completely shifts his perception of you, awakening something inside him that makes him see you in a way he never did before. This moment, the pullback, is not random. It's psychological. It's instinctive. And most women, without realizing it, respond in exactly the way that reinforces his withdrawal. They try to fix things, to explain, to chase clarity. But the more effort they put in, the colder he becomes. And that's when it starts to hurt. Not just because he's pulling away, but because you can feel your own energy slipping too. The anxiety grows. The silence becomes louder than any argument you've ever had. And every time your phone lights up, your heart races, hoping it's him, but fearing it's not. What most women don't know is that men retreat for reasons that have little to do with logic. Sometimes it's fear. Fear of losing freedom, fear of emotional dependence, fear of getting hurt again. Other times, it's the ego trying to regain control after feeling vulnerable. But regardless of the reason, the moment he pulls away is actually a hidden opportunity, an invisible turning point that decides how he'll see you from that moment on. Because when he distances himself, what he's really doing is creating a test, one he doesn't even know he's giving. He wants to see which version of you will show up, the one who panics and tries to chase him back, or the one who stays calm, composed, and quietly confident, the one who shows him through her silence that her value doesn't depend on his attention. That difference changes everything. When a man pulls away, he's subconsciously seeking clarity, not just about you, but about himself. He wants to know how much power he has over your emotions, whether your world revolves around him, or whether you have your own gravity. And that's why your reaction at this moment defines the entire story. Because the truth is, attraction doesn't fade when he pulls away. What fades is the sense of mystery and emotional balance that drew him in at the start. And if you can hold your ground, if you can react in the one way he doesn't expect, you'll trigger something that goes far beyond desire. You'll awaken respect, curiosity, and a deep need to reconnect. But before we get there, I want you to really feel this. A man's withdrawal is not the end. It's a mirror. It reflects how you've been loving and how you've been allowing yourself to be loved. Maybe you've been giving too much, hoping he'd see your worth. Maybe you've been trying to fill every silence, fix every distance, and prove that you're enough. But men don't fall for explanations. They fall for energy, for presence, for the unspoken confidence of a woman who doesn't chase, because she knows what she brings to the table. And when that energy is there, everything changes. So if you've ever found yourself staring at your phone, wondering why he suddenly pulled away, this video is for you. Because once you understand the two reactions he secretly expects from you, and why only one of them makes him regret pulling away, you'll never feel powerless again. Not because you'll control him, but because you'll finally understand the emotional pattern that controls him. And from that place of awareness, you can shift the dynamic without a single text, a single word, or a single confrontation. It all starts with understanding why he distances himself and what he truly expects from you when he does. Let me tell you a story that might sound painfully familiar. There was a woman named Emma. She met a man who made her feel seen in a way no one else had. At first, everything felt easy. Conversations flowed effortlessly. Laughter came naturally, and even silence between them felt comforting. He would text her first thing in the morning and call her just to hear her voice before bed. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she could finally relax, like maybe this one was different. But slowly, the rhythm began to change. The good morning texts stopped coming. The calls became less frequent. And when they did talk, his tone was different. Distracted, distant, like his mind was somewhere else. Emma felt it immediately, but she didn't want to overthink it. So she told herself he was just busy. She made excuses for him because that's what we do when we care. We fill the silence with hope. But as the days went by, her mind started racing. Every unread message felt like rejection. Every pause in conversation felt like proof that she was losing him. She tried to stay calm at first, but soon she couldn't help it. She reached out more. She sent texts to check in. She asked if everything was okay. She tried to restart conversations, hoping to bring back the version of him she had fallen for. But the more she tried, the further he drifted. It was as if every word she sent pushed him one step back. And that's when the confusion turned into panic. What she didn't realize was that, at that exact moment, he was watching her reaction. He wasn't being cruel. He was conflicted, torn between wanting closeness and needing space, between his emotions and his fears. And like many men, instead of talking about it, he retreated. Not because she did something wrong, but because he needed to feel that distance to regain control. What he didn't expect, though, was her reaction, or rather, how it would make him see her differently. Because when a man pulls away, there's a silent moment where his subconscious asks two questions. Will she chase me, or will she trust herself enough to let me come back? Emma didn't know it, but she was standing at that invisible crossroad, and the next few days would decide everything. On one side, her heart told her to fight, to show him she cared, to remind him of what they had. On the other side, her intuition whispered something different, to let go, to stop proving, to let him feel her absence. But silence is hard for a woman who loves deeply. So Emma chose the first path. She reached out again, asking if something had changed, if she had done something wrong. She said she missed him, hoping it would bring him closer. But instead, it only made him colder. He didn't reply right away. Hours passed, then a day, then another, and every minute without an answer felt like an eternity. What she didn't see was that in his mind, her messages, though full of love, confirmed his fear. The fear that he had too much control, that she was emotionally dependent on him, that she would always be there no matter how far he pulled away. That's when the imbalance started. The energy that used to flow both ways now leaned completely toward him. And once that happens, it's incredibly hard to pull back the dynamic, unless you know exactly what to do. And here's the hardest part to accept. A man can still love you, still care deeply, and yet feel the need to pull away. Because for him, the pullback is a way to test not only the relationship but his own emotions. And this is where most women lose the power they didn't even realize they had, because they think love means showing effort, proving loyalty, giving reassurance. But to a man who's retreating, effort looks like pressure, loyalty looks like dependence, and reassurance looks like fear. If only Emma had known that in that moment of silence, her reaction mattered more than anything she could have said. Because he wasn't looking for answers, he was looking for energy. When a man pulls away, he doesn't need a text. He needs to feel your absence, not as punishment, but as presence. To see that your world doesn't collapse when he steps back. To sense that your value doesn't shake when he withdraws. That's the reaction that changes everything. But most women don't see it that way because when someone you love disappears, it feels unnatural to stay still. You want to fix it, to reach out, to explain. Yet that stillness, that quiet confidence, is exactly what flips the dynamic. Emma eventually learned this, but not before her heartbreak forced her to. When he finally came back, and yes, he did come back, she was no longer the same woman. The silence that once made her anxious had turned into her greatest strength. And that's when everything began to change. Not because she chased him, but because she stopped chasing herself through him. When a man pulls away, his mind quietly splits into two paths. On one path, he hopes you'll chase him. On the other, he secretly wonders what it would feel like if you didn't. He's not fully aware of this, but that contrast determines everything that follows. Let's look closely at the first reaction, the one most women have. It's driven by fear. The fear of losing him, of being forgotten, of wasting all the time and energy you invested. That fear translates into messages like, "Did I do something wrong?" Or "I feel like you're distant lately." Sometimes it's not even words, it's the energy behind every text, every glance, every attempt to recreate the closeness that used to feel natural. To a man, that reaction feels heavy. It tells him you're reacting to his absence instead of standing in your own presence. And here's the paradox. He doesn't pull away because he wants distance. He pulls away to confirm that the bond isn't built on dependence. When he senses need, his instincts tell him something is off. It's not because he's heartless, it's because male attraction is wired to move toward emotional space, not emotional pressure. So when you chase, explain, or fight for clarity, his mind subconsciously says, "She's losing balance." He interprets your effort as fear, and fear to him is the opposite of feminine confidence, the energy that first drew him in. That's why this reaction almost always backfires. It feeds the very uncertainty he's trying to escape. Now the second reaction, the one that changes everything, looks simple on the surface, but it's rare. It's calm detachment, not the cold silence of pride, but the quiet strength of a woman who knows her worth. It's the moment you feel the panic rise in your chest, and instead of acting from it, you breathe and decide, if he needs space, he can have it. My world doesn't collapse because someone steps out of it. That single decision shifts the entire dynamic. Because the absence he expected to control now turns into a mirror that reflects his own uncertainty. He thought he could pull back and still hold your attention. He thought you'd wait. He thought your emotions would orbit around his silence. But when you stay still, when you stop chasing, when you respond with quiet composure instead of panic, he starts to feel something new, something he can't name, but can't ignore either. That feeling is respect. Respect grows where predictability ends. When he can't easily read your reaction, he starts to question his assumptions. He begins to remember your value not as something he had, but as something he might lose. And that's when curiosity returns. Men are emotional explorers. They're drawn to what they can't fully understand. When you react with emotional control, you reintroduce the very mystery that made him fall for you in the beginning. He starts wondering what's happening in your mind. What made you so centered? What changed? And in that wondering, the desire to reconnect awakens again. Psychologically, this happens because his brain associates pursuit with value. When he's the one reaching out, his investment in you grows. When you're the one chasing, his mind subconsciously devalues the connection. It feels too safe, too available. But when you pause, when you don't rush to close the gap, the emotional balance resets. He starts to feel the loss of your energy, not the comfort of your attention. This doesn't mean you play games. It means you understand the rhythm of emotional attraction. Space and closeness are two parts of the same heartbeat. When he retreats, your stillness becomes the breath that keeps the pulse alive. So the next time a man pulls away, remember, he's expecting one of two things. He expects you to chase, because that's what almost everyone does. But if you respond differently, if you show calm confidence, self-trust, and quiet strength, you break the pattern. You become the exception, and the male mind never forgets the exception. Because in that silence, he doesn't just miss your messages. He misses your presence, your warmth, your energy. He starts to realize that the peace he felt with you wasn't something he can easily replace. He remembers the way your laughter sounded, the way you looked at him when you weren't trying to fix him, the way he felt more grounded when you were near. That's when the pullback ends, not because you convinced him to come back, but because his own emotions lead him there. And ironically, the reaction that feels the hardest, staying still, saying nothing, doing nothing, is the one that brings him closer than any words ever could. The difference between those two reactions doesn't just decide whether he comes back. It decides how he sees you for the rest of the relationship. When you react from fear, you unknowingly teach him something dangerous, that his silence controls you. You show him that he can withdraw, and you'll come running every time. That you'll question yourself instead of questioning his effort. That your peace depends on his attention. And once that pattern is learned, it's hard to unlearn. Because the next time he feels doubt or pressure, his brain will remember, if I pull away, she'll chase. I'll get space and validation at the same time. It becomes an unconscious loop. He retreats, you panic, he gains reassurance, and you lose emotional balance. Over time, this doesn't just damage the connection, it erodes your confidence. You start walking on emotional eggshells, measuring every word, afraid of saying the wrong thing, afraid of losing what's already slipping away. And that fear changes your energy. It turns your warmth into worry, your softness into insecurity, your love into effort. That's how women lose themselves. Not in one day, but slowly through tiny reactions that say, I need you to choose me so I can feel safe. But the truth is, the moment you start needing his attention to feel safe, you stop being magnetic. Because attraction doesn't live in fear, it lives in freedom. Now imagine the opposite reaction, the one that most men never expect. He pulls away, disappears into his silence, maybe even flirts with distance. But instead of chasing, you do something revolutionary. Nothing. You stay calm. You shift your focus back to your own life. You move, breathe, smile, exist, without waiting for his next message. At first, he doesn't notice. He thinks you'll reach out eventually. He's seen it before, but days pass and your silence lingers. That's when the first crack appears in his certainty. He starts checking his phone. He wonders if you've moved on, if someone else is now seeing the side of you that used to be his. That quiet discomfort he feels, it's not ego, it's realization. The realization that he misread your depth, that maybe you weren't chasing him at all, maybe you were just giving. And that's when guilt creeps in, because men often regret not what they lost, but who they lost, the calm presence that grounded them. He begins to replay memories in his mind, the way you laughed when things were easy, the way you made him feel respected without needing to prove anything. He starts comparing that to the silence he created. And for the first time, the distance doesn't feel like freedom, it feels like emptiness. This is where the shift happens, because in that silence, you're no longer the one waiting. He is. He's the one checking your social media, wondering if you've stopped thinking about him, if you're happier, if you've already moved on. He may not admit it, but that curiosity is the seed of reconnection. The man who once pulled away to feel strong now feels vulnerable in your absence. He begins to sense that the connection wasn't about control, it was about balance, and his ego starts to lose ground to something deeper, longing. That's why this reaction, your calmness, your restraint, is so powerful, because it does what words can't. It turns the mirror around. He's forced to confront himself, to ask why he's missing you, why he feels incomplete, why your silence feels heavier than his distance ever did. And if he truly cares, he'll return, not to reclaim control, but to rebuild respect. Because deep down, every man wants to feel admiration for the woman he's with, and admiration can't exist where desperation lives. It grows only where strength meets softness, where love isn't a chase, but a choice. But this truth cuts both ways. If you keep reacting from fear, you'll keep teaching men that they can disappear without consequence, and they'll keep doing it, until one day you finally stop chasing. So ask yourself, how many times have you been the one holding the connection together, while he stood still? How many times have you apologized just to end the silence, even when you weren't wrong? How many times have you accepted less, just to avoid losing everything? Because that pattern only ends when you decide it does. And that decision, the one to choose peace over panic, dignity over desperation, is what changes everything, not just with him, but with every man after him. Every time a man pulls away, you stand at the same emotional crossroad. React from fear, or respond from power. One path keeps you trapped in the same story, trying to earn back what should have been given freely. The other path rewrites the story completely, where you stop waiting to be chosen and start remembering that you were never meant to chase what's unsure about you. Because here's the truth most women never hear clearly enough. The way you respond to distance defines how love treats you. If you chase, you tell the world that your peace has a price. If you stay calm, you teach the world that your peace is priceless. When a man pulls away, it's never just about him. It's about your ability to stay grounded in who you are, to stay soft without becoming weak, to stay caring without becoming desperate, to stay open without losing your self-respect. The women who master this balance don't just keep a man's attention, they earn his loyalty. Because loyalty doesn't grow from fear of loss, it grows from admiration. And admiration comes from strength, not words. So the next time you feel that silence, don't fill it. Let it breathe. Let him wonder. Let him feel the absence of the woman who gave him peace, not pressure. Because eventually the man who truly sees your worth won't pull away to test your love. He'll stay to protect it. And when that happens, you'll look back and realize that his distance was never rejection. It was your invitation to rise into a higher version of yourself. The version that no longer chases validation. The version that no longer fears silence. The version that knows that love, when it's real, never asks you to beg for attention. It meets you where you stand. So remember this. When a man pulls away, he expects two reactions. One feeds his ego, the other awakens his soul. Choose the one that honors your peace. Choose the one that reminds him and you that the most magnetic thing a woman can ever be is calm, confident, and untouchably self-assured. Because in a world where everyone is screaming for attention, your silence will say everything.